30 teams, 30 second basemen, let's rank them using statistics. Coming in last at number 30 is Bryce Terang of the Milwaukee Brewers. The Brewers have done it again, another 30th place finish for them. Their first baseman Jake Bauers was also in 30th. Go watch that video. Terang was not good last year. Now he was a top 100 prospect, but you can't really ignore the numbers that he put up here in 2023. The production was not there with a 60 WRC plus, and he didn't really make up for it on defense either. The underlying numbers are not pretty. He had a 5th percentile barrel rate, which means he's not hitting the ball well. A barrel is categorized as any ball that has an exit velocity of at least 98 miles per hour with a launch angle from 26 to 30 degrees. Those are the kind of batted balls you want to be getting. Terang also had a 2nd percentile average exit velocity. I know he put up better numbers in the minors, but doing this over a full season makes the outlook pretty bleak for Terang in 2024. At number 29 is Michael Massey for the Kansas City Royals. Massey had a pretty bad year on offense, just like Terang, over a pretty large sample size. The difference is that Massey plays above average defense, as indicated by a 66th percentile FRV, or fielding run value. Fielding run value is a stat that takes the infielder's range using outs above average, and it will determine how valuable a player was on defense. Massey will be 26 this year, and he has yet to show much potential on the offensive side, so I can't really put him higher than 29th. At number 28 is Luis Garcia, representing the Washington Nationals. He logged his first season of over 100 games in his 4th season in the majors, but it was kind of disappointing. The one and only thing that Garcia does at a high level is making contact. He doesn't strike out or swing and miss very often, indicated by his 12.4% strikeout rate, which is in the 96th percentile. The problem is he doesn't walk a lot or hit the ball hard. He's a contact-oriented hitter that can put up a decently high batting average, but the on-base percentage will never be good considering the walk rate. At the end of the day, it's all about the on-base percentage, so that doesn't bode well for Garcia. He also doesn't play good defense. He's only going to be 24 years old this year, but he's going to have to develop something else other than avoiding strikeouts. At number 27 is Josh Rojas for the Seattle Mariners. Rojas relies on his defense to be valuable, as he put up an 80th percentile fielding run value last season. Offensively, he's not very good, strikes out a pretty good amount, doesn't walk a lot, and doesn't hit for much power. He's put up some better offensive numbers in the past, but in 2023, they all kind of fell off. He's not someone to get really excited about, but he could be serviceable in 2024. Coming in at number 26 is Nicky Lopez of the Chicago White Sox. He's very similar to Rojas, as he relies on his defense to be valuable. The difference is that Lopez has a better walk rate and strikeout rate. With these numbers, you have at least something to work with on the offensive side. Lopez doesn't hit the ball hard at all, really. He's going to be 29 this year, and just like Rojas, you can't really get excited over this guy, but he could be serviceable. Number 25 is Zach McKinstry from the Detroit Tigers. He's another defensive first guy with a pretty weak bat. McKinstry has never put up a season with a WRC plus over 90, but the underlying numbers aren't as bad. They're still not good, but they're not awful. His walk and strikeout numbers are okay. He has a barrel rate in the 40th percentile, which could be worse, and an average exit velocity in the 14th percentile. He's going to be 29 years old, and I don't think there's going to be a breakout season for McKinstry in 2024. Number 24 is Liover Peguero, representing the Pittsburgh Pirates. The major league numbers for Peguero may not have been the most impressive thing in the world, as a 74 WRC plus is not the greatest. He does have one thing that the guys before him don't have, and that to me is the upside. Peguero has an above average exit velocity at 89.3 miles per hour and a 95th percentile sprint speed to go along with it. You don't find a power speed combination very often, but Peguero has the skill set to potentially build up to a player like that. He put up much better offensive numbers in the minors. Specifically, his strikeout rate was a lot lower. To me, he just has a much higher ceiling than the guys below him. Where is his floor, though? That is a question we will probably get an answer to when we see him play a full season in 2024. If he starts to strike out less and make more contact, I think he could be a pretty solid player for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Number 23 is another guy that's similar to Peguero, and that is Vaughn Grissom for the Boston Red Sox. Newly acquired in the Chris Sale trade, he will slide immediately into the second base role. The bat has always been Grissom's strength coming up as a prospect, as he put up a 135 WRC plus in AAA last year. In the majors, he has yet to find any success. Moving to second base will definitely help, as he doesn't really have the glove to lock down shortstop. The numbers you see here don't really mean much, as it was a very small sample size last year. He could definitely finish higher than this, but I'm not willing to rank him any higher until we see him in an everyday role in the majors. Number 22 is Brendan Rodgers from the Colorado Rockies. He was injured last year for a good part of the season, but in the time that he was healthy, he didn't really produce all that well. Something that is promising though is that he posted a 70th percentile barrel rate, which shows he has something in him. He's still young at age 27, even though this will be his 6th season in the majors. He's solid defensively, nothing too special, but could be way worse. When we did see him play some full seasons, he was much closer to a league average hitter with a 98 and 91 WRC+. He was the 31st best prospect in the league when he graduated in 2020, but his ceiling is not as high as it once was. Rogers should be serviceable in 2024. Number 21 is the Orioles starting second baseman Jordan Westburg. He didn't have the best rookie year in 2023, but the defense was pretty solid in the majors. The offensive numbers in the minor leagues are much more promising. He had a double-digit walk rate in every year but one and had a 131 WRC+ in AAA last year. Something very promising is that he had an average exit velocity of 90.2 miles per hour, which is in the 68th percentile. The offense should improve in 2024 as he's only going to be 25 years old. I only expect him to get better. I don't think he's going to be a star, but he should be a solid role player for that young Orioles core that they have built up. Number 20 is Luis Rengifo, representing the Los Angeles Angels. Rengifo quietly put up some good offensive seasons for the Angels, but he doesn't get noticed often because they had Trout and Ohtani, and the team didn't really win that many games. Defensively, he has not been the best, but offensively, his strikeout and walk numbers are pretty good. He doesn't really hit for much power as he has a 44th percentile average exit velocity and a 40th percentile barrel rate. He's only going to be 27. I don't think he will suffer that much regression. I think he could even get better. I expect him to put up around a 2-WAR season and should be a solid everyday option for the Angels in 2024. Number 19 is Jeff McNeil of the New York Mets. McNeil didn't have the worst season ever in 2023, but it was not the production that we saw in 2022. If you go back and look at the numbers, McNeil severely overperformed his expected WOBA in 2022, which means he was getting pretty lucky. Anytime a player's actual WOBA is higher than what it is expected to be, that means that they're getting better production than the quality of the contact suggests. When I say quality of contact, I mean exit velocity and launch angle, which are the things that are in complete control of the hitter. Where the ball goes, where the ball lands, where the defense is positioned, that's not in the control of the hitter, so you can't really take that into account. That's more of a luck factor, which McNeil got the better end of in 2022. These numbers for McNeil suggested that he would suffer some severe regression in 2023, which definitely happened. He also had one of his worst defensive seasons of his career. He will be 32 years old in 2024, so I am not too high on McNeil heading into this season. Number 18 is Davis Schneider for the Toronto Blue Jays. I know what you're thinking. What are you doing? You're overreacting to the small sample size. You always talk about sample sizes, and now you're overreacting to a small one. I understand that it's a small sample, but we can look at the minor league numbers that he's been putting up for a long time and aren't a small sample. They are quite promising. In AAA last year, he played 87 games and put up a walk rate of 18.4% and a WRC plus of 142, which are numbers that Juan Soto puts up. Obviously, it's only AAA, but he has the potential to be a 400 on-base guy. Now, is he going to be as good as he was in 2023? No. He's not going to put up a 1. OPS over a full season. Defensively, he's nothing special, but he is solid. On top of all this, he's only 25 years old, so there's a lot of time for improvement, and most likely he will only get better as time goes on. Davis Schneider could be pretty good in 2024. Number 17 is Jorge Polanco from the Minnesota Twins. The last 3 seasons have been pretty good for Polanco in terms of production. Last season, he only played 80 games, and the season before, he played 104. Not ideal. The quantity may not have been there, but the quality has been. He is one of the best power hitters at the position as he posted an 88th percentile barrel rate in 2023 to go along with an 82nd percentile expected slugging percentage. He strikes out a lot, which makes sense to go with his power numbers, but he does walk a lot to make up for it. Defensively, he does leave some to be desired, which is why he isn't really high on this list. He's going to be 30 years old in 2024, so it will probably just be more of the same from Jorge Polanco. Hopefully, he can stay healthy and just play a full season. Number 16 is Zach Gelof, representing the Oakland Athletics. Not an elite prospect, but a pretty good one. He's a power speed guy similar to Liover Peguero, but the difference is that we have actually seen him produce at the major league level. 91st percentile sprint speed, and he also put up a 72nd percentile barrel rate to go along with it. The strikeout rate and whiff rate are a little bit concerning and could lead to some inconsistencies at the plate, but that can develop as he gets older. The more important thing is that he has the tools to be a great major league player. He's only going to be 24 years old. He can get better at the plate discipline and the consistent contact as he gains experience. Is he going to repeat this kind of production over a full season? Probably not, and that's why he's not any higher on this list, but I do think he's going to be pretty solid in 2024. Number 15 is Thairo Estrada for the San Francisco Giants. Ever since the Giants acquired Estrada for cash from the Yankees, he's been a solid everyday player. Offensively, he's not going to blow you away. The underlying numbers are not that good. He had a 16th percentile barrel rate, a 4th percentile average exit velocity, and a 14th percentile expected WOBA in 2023. He rarely walks with a 3rd percentile walk rate. The reason why he's up here, though, is for his defense. In 2023, he put up a 100th percentile outs above average, which means he has a lot of range and can make a lot more plays than the average second baseman. That translated to a 98th percentile fielding run value, meaning he adds a lot of value on defense. He is lower on this list, though, because he is a league average hitter at best and doesn't really have any upside to have a great offensive season. Number 14 is someone who's very similar to Estrada, and that is Andres Gimenez of the Cleveland Guardians. In 2022, we saw him put up a 142 WRC+, which was not going to sustain itself. He had overperformed his expected WOBA by nearly 40 points. Just like we talked about with Jeff McNeil, this means that he was due for some heavier aggression, and we can see that came true in 2023. He doesn't get on base well and has an average exit velocity in the 1st percentile. It is going to be hard to have a good offensive season with those kind of numbers. Defensively, though, he's very good, and that's why he's in the top half of this list. I have him above Estrada just because he's younger at age 25 and has a better chance to improve going into 2024. Number 13 is Brandon Lau, representing the Tampa Bay Rays. He's an all-around solid player, good at the plate, good on defense, a good base runner. The one problem he has had is that he hasn't been able to stay on the field, as he's only played in around 170 games in the last 2 seasons combined. Offensively, he was pretty good last year with a 117 WRC+. He walks a lot, gets on base, hits for some decent power. The barrel rate is high, the exit velocity is high. He's just a good all-around player, number 13, and hopefully we can see him play a full season in 2024. Number 12 is Jose Altuve from the Houston Astros. Now, this might be the most surprising rank on this list, but let me explain. Yes, it is Jose Altuve, but I don't care that it's Jose Altuve. I don't care about the name value. I care about the numbers that the player puts up. Yes, he had a 154 WRC+ last year and put up a 4.0 WAR in only 90 games, but the numbers behind the scenes don't really look that great. First of all, he's going to be 34 years old, so there's some natural regression that is expected just based on his age. He is not as good as he once was. This means that his value is strictly coming from his offense. Last season, he put up a 44th percentile expected slugging percentage and a 32nd percentile expected batting average. This means that the quality of contact just wasn't there. His WOBA was 62 points higher than his expected WOBA, which is the largest difference I have seen throughout my entire time making these rankings. This means that his offensive production is most likely going to regress in 2024. This is why I have him so low on this ranking. It also doesn't help that second base is kind of a stacked position for the first time in a while. At number 11 is Matt McLain for the Cincinnati Reds. There are a couple things that concern me with McLain, but there are also a couple things that really excite me. Let's start off with the good. The production was there last year with a 128 WRC+ and solid defense to go along with it. This allowed him to post a 3.2 WAR in just 89 games in his rookie season. Will he be able to keep this up over a full season? Well, the walk and strikeout numbers are not the best. He does make up for it by hitting for some decent power. Last season, he had a 70th percentile barrel rate. Adding on to that, he also is pretty fast with a 90th percentile sprint speed. The WOBA numbers say he was getting a little lucky, so that calls for some regression, but also, he's only 24 years old, so he is going to get better, and the regression may not even matter at the end of the day. I don't expect him to put up another 128 WRC+ over a full season, but I can see him easily putting up 3 to 4 WAR. At number 10 is Ha-Seong Kim for the San Diego Padres. He's always been known to be a great defender, but this year he had his best offensive season in his career, posting a career-high 112 WRC+. Unlike Gimenez and Estrada, the other two defensive-first guys that I talked about, Kim has a solid base on the offensive side. He had an 86th percentile walk rate, meaning that his on-base percentage is going to be pretty high. He also doesn't strike out that often, doesn't swing and miss, and doesn't chase. He doesn't hit the ball hard just like Estrada and Gimenez, but he doesn't need to provide value at the plate. Combine this with his great defense, and I think he's a top 10 second baseman. Getting into the single digits now with number 9, and that is Bryson Stott for the Philadelphia Phillies. It's another guy who's defense first, as he put up a 97th percentile fielding run value. I think he can provide a lot more on offense, though, than the other guys. He doesn't need to hit the ball hard. He only has a 14th percentile barrel rate, but he does hit a lot of line drives. This leads to a 72nd percentile expected batting average, which means he's hitting a lot of balls that do get down for base hits. You can also identify this using his 71st percentile sweet spot percentage, which is the percentage of balls hit that have a launch angle in the range from 8 degrees to 32 degrees. These are the balls that often get down for singles, doubles, triples, home runs. Not a lot of outs, no ground balls, no pop-ups. When you add that to his 95th percentile whiff rate, that means he's making contact with the ball a lot, and a lot of the time, that contact will lead to line drives. He also has an 88th percentile sprint speed and runs the base as well, which is always good for any play. At number 8 is Bryson Stott's analytical twin, Nico Hoerner for the Chicago Cubs. They are almost the exact same player. Doesn't hit for power, but he doesn't swing and miss, and he has an 80th percentile expected batting average. Everything I just said about Stott, really the same applies to Hoerner. Good on defense, good on the bases. I just put him above Stott because we've seen Hoerner do this for 2 full seasons while this was Stott's first good year. At number 7 is Ozzie Albies for the Atlanta Braves. Ozzie's been up here for a while. I don't really need to explain too much about him. He hits for some good power, gets a lot of extra base hits. His expected slugging percentage was in the 77th percentile last year, which is rare for the second base position, as you might have found out already. 90% of the guys that I've already talked about, I said something along the lines of, he doesn't hit the ball hard, or he doesn't have too much power. Ozzie does though. Now, he's not ripping the cover off the ball, as his barrel rate is just in the 48th percentile. He is similar to Stott and Hoerner in the sense that he doesn't strike out a lot and has a consistently good launch angle, with the sweet spot percentage being in the 83rd percentile. He just hits the ball harder than those guys, so it will lead to more extra base hits, and that's why I have him above them at number 7. Number 6 is Gleyber Torres representing the New York Yankees. For once, after last season, I think the Yankees may be coming in as an underdog or an underrated team, which just might be what they need. He is really just Ozzie Albies, except he walks more and he's not a switch hitter. He has good expected numbers. The production was also there last year. He's going to be one of the best offensive second basemen in the league, and believe it or not, he's only going to be 27 years old. You may think he's older, but he's been an everyday player in the majors since he was 21 years old. The WOBA numbers last year even say that he got a little bit unlucky, so these production numbers could definitely even get better in 2024. Leading us off in the top 5 is Luis Arraez from the Miami Marlins. I think we all know Arraez's game and how he adds value to a team. Defensively, he's awful. 4th percentile fielding run value is not a good thing, but luckily, he is one of the best hitters in the league. He's in the 100th percentile in both whiff rate and sweet spot percentage. We've been through this before. It means he makes a lot of contact, and that contact is usually a line drive. He doesn't hit pop-ups. He doesn't hit ground balls. He is Mr. Line Drive. This is how he's such a good hitter with an average exit velocity of just 88 miles per hour. He doesn't hit the ball hard, but he doesn't have to. He has an expected batting average in the 100th percentile. The defense does obviously subtract from his overall value, but man, he's still young, 27 years old. Just an old-fashioned hitter, doesn't worry about walking, doesn't worry about swinging out of his shoes, just puts the ball in play, hits line drives. I may be pandering to my older audience here, back in my day, but it's nice to see a guy who's successful in a different way than most modern hitters in the league. Number 4 is Nolan Gorman for the St. Louis Cardinals. This is another time where you might not agree with me here right off the rip. With these numbers, you may think that Nolan Gorman should be nowhere near here, but don't worry, I will explain. I'm always going to back up my claims with the numbers. Let me present my case, and I think I have a pretty good one here. And if I'm not able to persuade you to jump on the Nolan Gorman train, then that's my fault. You can hate me, you can disagree with me, okay? Give me a chance, though. I'm going to use my signature stat here, and that is barrel rate. I use this a lot. If you watch my other rankings, you would know how much I love me a good barrel rate. Gorman is in the 97th percentile. He hits the ball hard and has a good launch angle. That is beautiful. That is what we like to see. Some guys that are also in the 97th percentile, Matt Olson, Kyle Schwarber, Adolis Garcia, you get the point. These guys are good hitters. They're right there with Nolan Gorman. The expected slugging percentage and hard hit rate are also great. He also walks a lot, always a good thing to do in the modern game. There are some downsides to Gorman though, sadly. He does strike out a lot, which is not the end of the world. Aaron Judge strikes out a lot too. He doesn't play amazing defense, but he is pretty solid for a guy with this much power. Guess what? He's only going to be 24 years old. He's only going to get better in my eyes. Get on the Nolan Gorman train in 2024. Hits the ball hard. Good launch angle. I can't wait to see this breakout season. Number 3 is Ketel Marte for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's an all-around threat. Walks a lot. Doesn't strike out. Hits for contact. Hits for power. Plays okay defense. There's not really a huge hole in his game. You saw what he did in the postseason last year. He is good. I don't really have much else to say about him. He's an all-around player. Going to be 30 years old next year, and nothing really too concerning about the underlying numbers. I think he will have another good season in 2024. Number 2, and I think these two are pretty obvious. First off is Marcus Semien from the Texas Rangers. He's great defensively, which is the main reason why he's up here. The offense can get a little murky, and let me tell you why. He is so good at pulling the ball right down the foul line and sneaking in home runs right by the foul pole. That might seem weird and not analytical at all, and I agree with you, this is weird. I've never even talked about this before, but looking at this chart from the past 3 seasons, I can start to paint the picture for you. In 2023 and 2021, when he had good seasons at the plate, look at all these home runs clustered around the foul pole. In 2022, he wasn't able to do that, and the offensive production showed. The underlying numbers don't suggest that Semien should be this huge power threat, but he is so good at getting these easy home runs where he doesn't need an elite exit velocity. His exit velocity is only in the 32nd percentile, and he's known as a pretty big home run hitting second baseman. Is this a skill? Is this luck? I don't know. If I had a nickel for every time Semien did this, I would have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Finally, number 1, Mookie Betts. He is good. Look at this Baseball Savant page. Red is considered to be good. He's elite at every aspect of hitting. Defensively, he isn't the best at second base since he doesn't get to utilize his arm as much anymore, but he's one of the best hitters in the league, so that doesn't really matter. Mookie Betts could have an MVP season in 2024. Here's the full list. You can pause the video if you want to review. Thank you for watching. I'll be back again with more of these. Goodbye.